Have you ever had a dream that felt so real you woke up contemplating whether it actually happened?
Have you ever had a nightmare where you woke up screaming?
Dreams are weird, but they're incredibly interesting. We should first define what a dream is. A dream is defined as a series of thoughts, visions, or feelings that occur during sleep.
Sleep is cyclical, occurring in 5 stages. Most importantly, the 5th stage is REM, or rapid eye movement, and it is the most common time of dreaming.
REM is a stage of sleep where your eyes move rapidly although they are closed, and at the same time, your muscles become temporarily paralyzed. This is so you don't act out what is happening in your dreams. Brain activity is highest during REM sleep, as heart rate and blood pressure levels are close to levels you experience when you're awake.
The physiological realm of dreams is still a mystery, but there are many theories that try to explain them. A popular theory is the activation synthesis theory by John A. Hobson and Robert W. McCarley. Essentially, these two neuroscientists hypothesize that dreams are a byproduct of random electrical signals created during REM sleep. According to this theory, dreams do not have special meanings. Studies done on sleep deprivation show that people lacking REM sleep have a decreased ability to dream. Also, studies showing damage to specific regions of the brain impair REM in dreaming, furthering the hypothesis.
Another theory is the threat simulation theory, which states that dreaming had an evolutionary advantage for its capacity to repeatedly simulate threatening events. So according to this theory, people in relatively safe environments will have a less activated dream production, whereas people from traumatic backgrounds will have a more intensely activated system. A study was done on traumatized and non-traumatized children, and the results showed that children exposed to severe, real-life threats reported more dreams, which included the threatening events, as opposed to non-traumatized children. The traumatized group included 122 Kurdish children living in Iraq, a historically persecuted minority, and the non-traumatized group consisted of Finnish children in Ireland. In this case, dreams do have meaning and provide an advantage to those who can dream. This study may have some ethical concerns tied to it, but it is nonetheless insightful.
Spirituality is commonly tied to dreams. Many forms of spirituality today focus on eliminating all distractions to find a peaceful center, but the chaos of dreams can be seen as distractions, leading some to ignore or try to expel dreaming. Yet spiritually, dreams can provide an honest portrait of who we are and what matters to us. Dreams are tied to the lower self, a state of ego, attachment, desires, and entanglement. But hey, this is starting to sound a lot like psychology.
Finally, you can't talk about psychology without talking about Freud and Jung. Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams in 1899, and it is in this work where he first introduced his famous theory of psychoanalysis. This was quite a striking and disturbing theory because he focused on the role of the unconscious mind, which was largely ignored at the time, to understand human behavior. Concepts such as the Oedipus complex, a pretty weird and freaky concept to think about, and free association appear in his book. The core of psychoanalysis emphasizes the role of repressed childhood experiences and sexuality in shaping personality. According to Freud, dreams are a form of wish fulfillment. Dreams uncover a person's unconscious desires, thoughts, and motivations that the conscious mind represses. Free association is a technique used to uncover the psychological meaning of dreams by just spewing whatever comes to mind about a dream. This psychological meaning of a dream is called the latent content, which is often disturbing or socially unacceptable. So, a thing called dream work disguises and censors the latent content of a dream to help us sleep better at night, through displacement, condensation, symbolization, and secondary elaboration. Or that's what Freud claimed. As you can tell, Freud was the definition of an overthinker. Oh, Freud, you would have loved Substack.
At the same time, Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, was deeply inspired by Freud's work, and they even collaborated together. In 1913, things got messy and the duo split because of differing theoretical perspectives and personalities. Jung publicly criticized Freud's Oedipus complex during a lecture tour of America because of its focus on infantile sexuality. Jung went on to embrace his own theory, creating the idea of analytical psychology, which sounds the same as Freud's psychoanalysis, but they differ starkly. Jung's psychology emphasized the importance of the individual, their needs, desires, and thoughts. Jung claimed these parts of the psyche built up personality, He focused on concepts such as collective unconscious, archetypes, complexes, and most importantly, the process of individuation. Individuation is essentially the process of becoming aware of oneself and one's personality, integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of the mind and reconciling the many inner contradictions of a person. Jung viewed dreams as tools for the psyche to communicate with the conscious mind, offering solutions to problems and revealing parts of the self through universal symbols. In addition, he grew up very Christian, which would later influence his notion that religion and spirituality were crucial to human experience. His theories were more mystical than Freud's, so his ideas weren't as popular with the people.
But with all this information, it's only logical to wonder, is it possible to have disordered dreaming? The answer is yes. But there's still no definite consensus on what constitutes a dreaming disorder. First, everyone knows nightmares, the frightening dreams. Frequent nightmares are considerably normal in children, tending to decline with age. But frequent nightmares in adulthood, about 5 to 8% of adults, suggest the individual may have memory impairment and/or anxiety. Interestingly, more women have nightmares than men. A large factor in frightening dreams can be PTSD, as around 68% of war veterans and 25% of trauma victims are prone to nightmares. REM sleep-associated disorders play a large role in dreams. REM behavior disorder is a disorder characterized by vivid, action-filled, violent dreams that the dreamer actually acts out and is most common in middle-aged men. These actions usually harm the dreamer, or even sometimes they can harm a sleeping partner as well.
If this all sounds interesting to you, try documenting your dreams in a journal to reflect back on in the future. Or ask the people around you about their dreams. Maybe it'll reveal things about them that you would have never known.